Hi, happy summer. It has been a tad on the warm side, and I have turned off all fans and all AC so there's no background noise, and it feels a little muggy. It has been a Sanderson heavy year. It is the year of Sanderson, and I have read a lot. July especially was very Sanderson heavy, but for August, not a single Sanderson book. And to properly do my July TBR, I have to go back just a little bit. At the end of June, I had finished Fourth Wing, and I had just a few days before July when I knew I'd be getting Secret Project 3. So it was not enough time to read a whole book, but it was too long for me to feel like going without reading anything, so I squeezed in Mistborn Secret History. It's a short little novella. I will make a full video on Secret History, but it's basically some of the secret background stuff that's happening behind the scenes of the first trilogy of Mistborn. And then supposedly there's some spoilers for Era 2 of Mistborn. It was also the perfect time to read it because you're supposed to read it between Bands of Mourning and The Lost Metal, and that's where I was in Era 2, so it was just kind of the perfect little thing to squeeze in at the end of June. I stayed up way too late one night finishing it. I cried at the end. Actually, not at the very end, kind of almost at the end. I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing, that's how I am. I don't know if you can buy Secret History by itself, but it is part of the Arcanum Unbounded. This is one book that's full of all the little novellas that don't have their own printing. Other stuff in here is The Emperor's Soul, The Hope of Elantris, The 11th Metal, White Sand, Sixth of Dusk, Edge Dancer, just the little stories all in one. And then July 1st. I did not have this in my hands yet. I read the digital version on my phone. But this, Yumi and the Nightmare Painter by Brandon Sanderson, this was a fun book. I did put out a review for this one, and in the next week or so, I'm going to film my character study of Yumi and Painter, which I'm really looking forward to because they are fun characters. The one downside I felt about this book was how much of the first part of the story was kind of repetitive. It felt a little slow at the beginning because the two characters are kind of, it's almost like Groundhog's Day, the movie, but instead of repeating the same exact day, they're repeating a lot of the same routine each day, kind of getting to know each other and trying to figure out what it is they're supposed to be doing. Getting the physical book was really exciting. I also have an unboxing, which you can see it right now, so you probably don't have to watch that now that I'm showing it to you. But the art is so beautiful. You can see that reflection. Oh! In the unboxing, I do kind of go through and show a few of the art pieces inside. I really liked that this was so different. All the secret projects so far have just been fun, kind of adventure-y. They just read like Sanderson was having fun writing them, and so I'm having fun reading them. There's only one more, and I'm a little sad. I know he'll keep writing other stuff, but he'll probably never have a whole year of quarantine where he can just write whatever he wants. So these will be special because of that. The Lost Metal, I returned it to the library already. That was the final book of Mistborn Era 2, the Wax and Wane series. That one gets a little deeper into the Cosmere than the first three. By book 4, you know the characters, but I really appreciated that we finally get a lot more of the background story and kind of the inner workings of Wane's mind. Up till book 4, we've kind of seen how he is surface level, how he interacts with people, but book 4, we get to see more inside of him and his personal struggles and just what it is that he needs to overcome. Also, the fourth book was another one of those, most of the action is happening in one night. That's been a common theme among the 4 Mistborn books from the second era. There'll be like some setup and there might be several weeks or a time jump or something, but then the bulk of the action is one night. It's a lot more into the Cosmere, almost to the point where you feel like you have to have read some other Cosmere books to fully enjoy it. If I had not read certain other books, I still would have enjoyed it, but I was thankful that I had read some other things first, so I kind of understood what was going on. It was less confusing. The Lost Metal was the final Sanderson book that I will read or have read for a little while. Because in November, the next Paolini book comes out, so I am rereading The Inheritance Cycle. Last December, I think, was when I read Aragon, and Eldest has been on my TBR several times now, I have finally just picked it up and started reading it. So I am a little over halfway. That is my Yumi and Painter bookmark that came in the swag box. I always take off the dust jacket to read because they're annoying. And this book is showing its age. We have some scuffed corners here, some stains. That's all from me. This was brand new when I got it. Eldest is quite a bit heftier than Aragon was. And I have heard from several people that they did not like Eldest as much as Aragon. And if they continued through the full series, that this one was their least favorite. And I think part of that is you have to be invested in Roran, Aragon's cousin, because he gets his own point of view in this book. And you kind of have to not care too much about action. There are long sequences of Aragon learning. And I really enjoy seeing him learn about magic, the way the world works. He's being trained as a writer, and I really enjoy that aspect of the story. He's kind of growing and maturing and learning about himself, so the plot, the story, is less about what's happening and more about how he is growing. It's a lot more about the characterization, the character development of Aragon. I have no idea what all these stains are, but I was probably eating while I was reading. Definitely has a couple of sticky spots. So it's the end of July. I have a couple more 100 pages of this, which means going into August, I will be finishing Eldest. Hopefully it doesn't take me any more than like a week because I have other stuff I want to get to. And I am not going to plan what I read for the rest of August for a couple of reasons. One being that it's the last month of summer break. Once August is over and we go into September, I'm going to get back into the swing of school. I homeschool my oldest son. We are going to be doing school work. Our days are going to get busier. So this month I want to feel like it's kind of free for me to just decide what I'm in the mood for. But I am going to be deciding between 3 books that I have found between Little Free Libraries and Goodwill. And those are these 3. Promise of Blood by Brian McClellan is the first book in the Powder Mage trilogy. I don't know much about it except that people who have read it have really liked it. And the art is cool. This was a free little library find, and it's really easy to bring home books, and it's harder to find time to read them. My other little free library find was actually all 3 of these. These are all from the Little Free Library at different times all through the summer. I also picked up Gardens of the Moon, the first book of Malazan, or Malazan, tomato, a tale of the Malazan Book of the Fallen. So this is a book I've been wanting to start for quite some time. I had heard enough about it that it just seemed like the beginning of another big epic fantasy series like The Wheel of Time or The Lord of the Rings. And I follow some people on Instagram who are like midway through the series and they are loving it. But I have also heard enough about it to make me think maybe it has some of the type of content that I do not enjoy as much. So some of the things that people think are not as good about this are all the like details, names, point of view characters. There's a lot of confusing world building and people to keep track of. I'm not worried about that. I'm a fantasy reader. So as far as the type of content I'm not as fond of, I'll start it and I'll see for myself. And my most recent acquisition from the Little Free Library, I almost wish I could just find the person putting these in and say, you know what, I'll just take all your old books and then I'll stock the Little Free Libraries myself. Hyperion by Dan Simmons. This is one I have thought about picking up for a long time. I've heard mostly good things about it, only a few bad things. But it's like one of those classic sci-fi books that I would like to have read for myself so I can have my own opinion on it. So I know some people would say they'll finish up the book they're reading and then read all 3 of these in August. I am not a fast enough reader to say I'm gonna read all 3 of these. I'll probably read 1 of them. Oh, and I might continue on into Brizinger, which is book 3 of Christopher Paolini's The Inheritance Cycle, because I want to read all of them before the next one comes out in November. And that's getting really close. So that's what I read. That's my plan. After this, I'm filming my review of Mistborn Era 2. So that will come out later in the week. And I will see you for more videos. Bye.